Hi everyone, I'm your host Emma Burgich.
And I'm your co-host, Jose Camacho.
Whether you're a player or a coach,
or you're just passionate about what you do and you want to be the best at it,
this is the EMAzing Podcast for you. Today's episode is sponsored by MatchSet. MatchSet is an amazing company that provides players with incredible equipment and apparel. With MatchSet, equipment does matter, and they make sure it won't slow you down.
Use code Tennis with Emma to get 10% of Match Tennis today.
Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of the EMAzing Tennis Podcast. So excited to be back, and yeah, Emma's going to do the intro for our amazing guest today.
Amazing podcast, amazing guest. Today we have Coach Farshad with us, and I am honestly, I just recorded this for my story. I'm really excited to have you on today. He has so much experience. You have over 23 years of coaching experience, and for the past years, you've served as a director of a 12 and under programming at Pro World Tennis Academy. And then you have a lot of experience with juniors, with top juniors, developing their game from scratch, doing what you love, empowering their lives, and shaping their game from the beginning of their tennis journey, which is so special in my opinion. But we'll talk about that later. Anyways, thank you so much for coming
Thank
today.
you for having me. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Good.
It's
I'm
so
really
cool.
excited.
He's actually so excited. This is the first guest that we get that it's like so natural, dude. Like most people are like either nervous. Or they're like just a little tight and everything.
No, I mean I'm ready for this.
Or maybe he's faking it very well.
No, he's doing. He looks excited.
You got to do it. You got to just give it all you got. That's
Exactly.
it.
It's good vibes, good energy. Tell us your story. Tell us your story.
I'll keep it short.
Yeah, keep it short.
I'll keep it short. I started playing at 12 and a half. I cried the whole time. I was like, I didn't want to do this at all. I thought tennis was a horrible sport.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, none of the kids that I knew actually were playing tennis. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. After the first day, though, I was like hooked. It was just, it was engaging. It was stimulating. I was like, it was athletic. It was artistic. It was tactical. And then I just became obsessed. Literally, from that day, I was just obsessed. And then, funny enough, so I wasn't privileged when I was growing up, right? So my thought process was like, how am I gonna learn the most in the most efficient manner? So actually, after like 6 months of training, I started coaching. I started volunteering just so I can get court time. And that was probably the best decision ever. Because ultimately, just being around coaches and listening, you just start figuring things out, and you start, and we all know, like, coaching is, we became the best versions of ourselves as we were coaching. You start learning, you're like, okay, well, that worked, that didn't work, and automatically your game starts getting better. Like, I don't know about you guys, I got better as I coached.
Right.
For sure.
Right? So that was the biggest changer. And then right around 15, I got my first private client, Luca Corinteli, who went on to be top 35 in ITF.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing kid, amazing family. Zaza, shout out to Zaza, his father, amazing. Luca, amazing.
You have to say
Amazing.
Amazing.
I was thinking about that while you were saying it.
And that actually, we'll come around to that, but ultimately it's the parents, they really provide the structure, the character, luckily, hopefully, which makes our jobs easier, right? So I'll go back to that later, but ultimately I went on and I became the junior director at a swim and tennis club, where I worked with Othman Garma, who went on to work with Sloane Stephens when she won her first Grand Slam. And I mean, we're best friends. And ultimately, I had my 12 and under academy in Virginia with Michael Harper. Shout out to Michael. And ultimately, we had an amazing group of like 5, 6-year-olds, 14, 5, and 6-year-olds. And we took them from scratch, and by the time they were 9, 10 years old, we had 7 boys and 7 girls in the top 8 simultaneously.
Wow.
Right? And you really recognize, you're like, man, if I get kids from absolute scratch, the level of impact you can have and a clear line, like a clear path of their progression is so much easier to manage. You know, we could talk about that as well. But then ultimately, I got a phone call from Pro World and decided to come to Florida where you know you want to swim with the sharks, right? So I was like, I'm going to come to Florida and see if I can do the same thing, replicate the same thing we did in Virginia, but in Florida. And here I am.
That's great. Do you feel like, because you mentioned you get better the more you coach, right? And you learn a lot. Do you ever feel like, I don't know how much you've been able to train, like for your personal improvement. Do you feel like also training with another coach or like joining a clinic or playing with, do you also become a better coach? Because I've had this experience before in which sometimes me learning things firsthand, right? I feel like it helps you be a better teacher, right? Because you kind of feel the other side, you know? I feel like we're sometimes so much on the other side of the net as a coach that changing your position and being like, I'm the one that's being taught, and then this works for me, and just giving that a try for someone else. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I think both sides are very important. I think I think the issue of only being one side where you're getting coached, if you're lucky enough to have a great communicator, a great coach, then that's great. However, if you don't, then you don't have the perspective, right? But when you try to coach and what you're trying to say, I mean, if you're open-minded, I think that's very key for coaches, because if you blame your student, then you're not learning at all, right? But if you just say, listen, this is where my student is, and I know where I want to take them, and now I have to bridge that gap.
Right.
And then you just say, okay, if it doesn't work, then I gotta change.
Right.
And that makes you better and better. However, if you're working with a coach and they're helping you, it's still it's one-sided, right? Everybody is so different. Right. So it's like the struggles you're working through is not the same as you. Right. The way I communicate with you is not the same as you. It can be, but the odds are there's gonna be a little difference, right?
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the more you kind of get that feel.
Yeah, it's completely different personalities. Like you get really grumpy people with like emotional issues and stuff like that, and just really chill.
Why are you pointing?
Nice. Oh no, it's just an example. Like really nice guys that are just like super chill, super coachable.
Sure.
You always get those difficult people.
Why do you keep pointing at her?
The door is that way.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Look at me, I'm really grumpy because I barely had any sleep, so please be careful.
I'm in dangerous water.
You really are. So.
That's why you're over here.
So, okay. I want to talk about developing fundamentals, which and Jose as well. We love working with 10 and under kids and developing their game, developing their love for the game. I think that's really important. But from your experience, obviously amazing experience, you developed so many great juniors and from scratch. I feel like I have so many questions running through my head right now. In your opinion, what is the most important thing, let's say for a 5 or a 6 year old that's starting out? Is it technique? Is it footwork? Is it love for tennis? What is the number one or top 3? Are you ready to immerse yourself in the world of beauty, wellness, and self-care? Look no further. Rejuvenate is a medical spa in South Florida that offers a wide range of beauty and health-improving treatments and therapies. Their goal and aim is to improve your quality of life and ensure a healthy glow on your skin. Make sure to check their social media and to visit their location here in South Florida today.
Yeah, great question. It's not technique. I know everyone thinks I'm going to say that, but it's not at all. It all starts from the mind, right? So I mean, we have to. I think so. When I was a younger coach, and parents didn't trust me at a younger age, right? Makes sense. They were like, if you're talking to the kids, they think, oh, I'm not paying you to talk to my kids. I'm paying you to teach them tennis. But what you don't but the parents don't realize is those conversations are the most impactful, right? Because I tell people all the time, I was like, if someone makes something look easier than you think, you have to change the way you think to make it easier, right? So it's like if you change their minds on how they process information, ultimately everything becomes exponentially easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, because we try to teach these kids these concepts, these abstract concepts for them, new concepts. They've been on Earth for a couple of years. Like, what are we teaching them, right? Instead of changing their thought process, which is actually the easiest way to do things. Right? We spend so much time teaching them these physical things, which are important. And I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying that we must change the mind as well as in conjunction with the body. The problem is their bodies take time to develop.
Right.
The majority of these techniques, these more complex forehands, backhand serves, overheads, I mean, their bodies are not even prepared to do it. And we know that, but then we say, okay, well, we're going to spend time working on it, which is important. However, their mind can evolve much faster than their bodies can.
Right.
So if we spend time, not the whole class, but a portion of the class, I try in the beginning of every class to have some type of conversation that kind of sets the tone, because,
But like what? What do you mean by conversation? Can give us an example?
Well, it depends on the age, right?
Okay.
So
let's say we have a 6-year-old boy that, or a 6-year-old girl that started 6 months ago.
Yeah, so I mean, the conversation will be a lot more surface level, but it'll be about being excited. Let's go. It's very much more fundamental. But as they mature, and it all depends on, like I said, their parents, right? Their ability to communicate, what they understand. I mean, these are all foundational elements, right? So if they don't have a large vocabulary, you can only speak. You're limited.
Yeah.
Right. But for example, the kids that we're working with at Pro World, amazing. Love them all. Shout out to the babies. I love them. But I show the motivational videos, Kobe Bryant. You show them the best because they don't understand. Like, if you ask any kid at any program, at least a high level program, you would assume that the second you ask them, hey, what do you want? I want to be a professional. They have no clue what that means.
Right.
Right? It's like when Jay-Z's like, don't focus, or was it Kobe? I forget, honestly. But it was like, don't focus on the end result. Focus on what it took to get there.
The journey.
Right? The journey. I mean, we say it's cliche, but the reality is, if you at least open the eyes of the kids to, it is a journey.
Yeah.
We say it, but we show them.
Yeah.
Look at Steph Curry missing shots.
Yeah.
It happened, but it's a process because some might not know them.
Yeah.
But you have to open their eyes to the greats. How can you become great and have no understanding of what greatness even looks like?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
I like what you said though. Like, I haven't never thought about it like that. Like sometimes, like their mind is naturally simple, and then maybe the coach is the one that's we're in this complicated world and we're trying to like shove it in. You know what I mean? And we're complicated more for them than maybe they can take in. Right? It's too much for them. And I had lessons this morning also, all of them like with really little kids. They were with Lucas like 6, 5.
She's 6.
6. David is like another kid's like 8. So they're all young kids. And it's funny because I had 2 girls that are a little bit older and they're much better players. Like they're kind of competitive level. And then I start out, like it took me a while when I started working with Emma, how like smaller kids improve like this when it's fun and they're having fun. Their focus just goes out the roof, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's really good. Once you start getting a little like talkative or you start getting technical, you starting with the drills. Like you're gonna like extend and brush like you lose them. You lose them completely. And then the older kids, I mix in a little bit of that, but the work needs to be done. I think they're old enough. They're at an age that they understand technique. They don't love it, but they respond well to it, right? So what you said, like kind of like keeping it simple for each age, especially the younger ones, is huge.
Well, you just have to know there's a progression, right? So it's like, this is my goal, but this is where they are.
You can't try to coach of course.
Probably the most important way of looking at any person you're even interacting with, right? It's like this is who they are, and if I'm looking to get them to there, still start where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Still start where they are, right? It's like, for example, we're doing this podcast. This is where you are, and you're going to keep getting better and better and better. But to not judge where you are, and just to observe it and understand and keep getting better.
Right.
Like Mr. Beast said, he was like, until you've done 100 videos and tried to get better every single time, why are you even expecting anything?
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is great. A lot of good content here for reals.
I hope so.
That's all I'm thinking about right now because you're talking really like some good talking points. Okay, this is important to me because I get asked by a lot of parents, and then like parents get worried about like where their kids are in their development. When is the technique important? Okay, let's talk first. Okay. When is the technique important? By what age do you focus on that? Can you I can't see.
I'm so scared of you when you're touching me. I'm like,
just move
terrified.
This way a little bit. I have to lead this
I don't want to look shorter though. That's why I don't want to move back. I'm trying.
Okay, I'll be like this. No, but when I have a 9-year-old that's that's struggling. I'm not gonna say the name, but it's struggling with her forehand, right? And it's like, okay, we keep working on her forehand, but it's like something is off and you can't figure it out. You think you figured it out, but you're not there. So when is the technique important?
Okay, great question.
Thank you.
It's funny, right? It's like it seems like a complex issue, but the more you dive deeper, it's more simple, right?
Okay.
And so you look at the player, you say, okay, well, are there any? Okay, it all starts eyes, mind, feet, hands, right? So
eyes, mind, feet, hands.
yeah, you gotta see the ball, understand where it's going, get your feet there, then hit the ball, right? So it's like if there's a technical issue.
Good one. Wait, can you repeat this, please? Eyes, mind,
feet, hands.
You have to see the ball, react with your mind, move your feet, and hit the ball.
And hit the
Great.
ball. Exactly,
Love
right?
that.
So, we make the kids juggle a lot. As it
Okay.
works on hand-eye coordination stuff, but I asked them, I'm like, okay, what's more important, the catching or the throwing, right? And intuitively, you're like, well, you're missing the ball, so you think, oh man, it's got to be the catching, right? But the reality is it's the throwing. If you throw it perfectly, the ball lands in your hand. Very easy to catch, right? And so with tennis, it's the same thing. People think it's the hitting, but it's the tracking and moving.
Right.
Right? And a lot of people talk about footwork, and I'm like, I'm not saying that is wrong. Footwork is very important. However, if it's not combined with tracking, you don't see where the ball's going, you can't read what's coming. Because it's not the height of the ball, it's how is your opponent striking the ball? If you can't read that, you're already late.
Yeah.
Right? It's like 1 + 1 is 2, but how you write it is the technique.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't understand the problem, you know the solution, and then the technique, you can get better at your handwriting can get better.
Yeah.
Right? So I tell the kids, I was like, if you can't recognize that 1 + 1 is 2, and you say 3, if you say 3, that's a bad mistake.
Yeah.
Let's call that a bad mistake, right? But if you say 1 + 1 is 2, but you wrote down 3, we can address that.
Yeah.
Or at least you knew it.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're playing practice matches, I mean, I can go off the deep end, but basically, if you're playing, it's important for the kids to understand what the problem is, what the answer is, and what they're trying to do. They're trying to perform that answer. And then you can say, okay, then you can self-correct. Right? It's like if I'm shooting at a dartboard, right? If I'm not aiming at the bullseye, then I can hit the dartboard, but I don't know if I'm getting close to anything. Right?
Yeah.
So the more focused I am, the more I understand it, the more I can self-correct.
I feel like he's so good at explaining things for kids. I feel like a kid right now being explained and I understand perfectly.
No, but still, he still didn't respond to my question.
Today's video is sponsored by Lucky in Love. Gone are the days of ladies' golf and tennis apparel that all look the same. Lucky in Love is ushering in a new age. The high-end women's apparel brings options fit for the modern, expressive woman. Partake in the ultimate luxury and shop Lucky in Love for your new favorite fashion items for women and use code EB20 to get 20% of your next purchase.
Okay, when?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the order, right? So you asked the question, right? When is it important to teach the technique? If you can't receive the ball and understand that this ball's coming at this speed and with this spin, it's very hard to have good technique. Like for example, can I get that water bottle, please?
Sure. There you go.
Here you go. Ready? So grab this water bottle. Grab it.
No.
Okay. Your arm is extended, right? Okay. Put it down. Grab the water bottle. It's too close. But if the second the ball gets in too close to you, right? But the ball's coming, it's in motion. If you can't time it properly, then how are you going to have good technique? You can learn perfect technique. However, if it doesn't translate into timing, tracking and moving, and then timing the ball, timing your stroke, you will have bad technique. Right? And then coupled with that, right, chicken or the egg, right? So if when this is what happens with a lot of young players, right? So when they're younger, they see the pros hit the ball hard, but they don't know how to hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
So what do? It's intuitive. I have the racket. Let me muscle the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Right? And then what happens is they get good results. They get praise for those results.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is it's a loop, positive feedback loop, right? Okay, I muscled the hell out of this. If you're playing on a big court and you're small, you hit the ball either hard or you push. If you hit the ball hard, people praise it because it seems so amazing. But as you get older, when do you change it? Because now your self-worth is tied to the results.
Yeah.
So then it's so hard to change technique when you get older because now your self-worth is tied to it.
Right.
So you have to go through a dip in results. And now your friends are saying, "Oh my God, he lost to this person." And then it just becomes a downward spiral. Right? So I think it's the most important at the foundational level to get not everything right or everything completed, but everything understood.
Right.
Understood, yeah.
So she wants to still know what age, right? She still know what.
Well, it's a process. No, everybody's different.
Yeah,
Everybody's
exactly.
different.
There's no age, and I agree with that. There's no like, okay, when they're 8, when they're 9, no. Like you said, that's exactly. I agree with that 100%.
Because I like thinking about like adults, for example. If you get an absolute beginner.
Yep.
It can also apply to them, no? Like maybe they can start with kind of more touches on the ball, more like, you know what I mean? Even if they're like,
absolutely.
Their minds are completely developed, but they also have to like, even if they're not kids,
Progression is progression.
For any age.
If you're an adult learning math for the first time, if you're a baby,
Right.
it's still 1 + 1
Exactly.
before we move up, right? And I think
Yes.
we get that. It's hard because the education isn't out there. So if I see Jane hitting the ball, whether it's if my eye's not trained, I'm like, wow, she's hitting the ball so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the coach's responsibility to educate.
Right.
And a lot of people, it's like, if they can't articulate it well, well then how do I change their perspective if they're not willing to listen,
Right.
or if I'm not able to communicate it?
Right. Makes sense. Sorry, this just came to mind. You know, I played soccer with the owner of Pro World yesterday.
You did?
He's a young guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Lorenzo?
Pretty good soccer player
he's,
as well.
he's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you play?
Rick Macy on the
Since
field.
when do you play soccer?
I played soccer my whole life.
Oh,
This is how well she knows me.
Yeah, apparently.
Fantastic. Good
like,
to know.
when was the last time you played soccer around here?
I played like Fridays usually.
You never told me.
That's okay.
this.
It's okay. You don't know much about my life.
Okay,
It's fine.
just stop
It's
it.
fine. It's fine.
Anyways, focus. We have 10 minutes
That went
on
by
the clock. Listen.
I went by so
Look.
fast.
No, but I can dive in a little deeper, right? So when it comes to the technique, so what happens is a lot of people, when they're teaching the technique, they'll say, oh, the technique is incorrect, but they won't dive deeper. And it's like, oh, well, maybe their core isn't strong enough. Their legs aren't strong enough.
Right.
They lack mobility.
Yeah.
So we say everyone has their own technique. And I'm not going to go off the deep end there, but the reality is the longer the lever, the more easily you can apply force,
Yeah.
right? You can generate force. So if the power comes from the legs, then this is the delivery, right?
Yeah.
And so the reality is if you're not able to do it, unless you have a skeletal issue,
Yeah.
right? It means, okay, my arm can't extend. Fine, completely understood. I get it. But if we're talking about efficient weight transfer and efficient striking mechanics, you're looking at the longer the lever.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not going to name names, but like there are certain players on tour that if you ask them, even though they're ranked really high, would you take Alcaraz's forehand? Yeah, of course. Would you take Federer's? Yeah, of course. Rafa's? Of course. Dimitrov's? Of course. Right? So it's more about fixing the core issues versus saying, well, everyone is different. Yes, but if you have a weakness or mobility issue, flexibility issue, fix those, which a lot of tennis coaches are like, that's out of my domain. It should be in your domain.
Yeah. It definitely should.
Right.
But this ties in perfectly into
The forehand angle.
not angels. Angle. This is amazing.
Can I see it?
Yes. Did you come up with this idea?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was your idea.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
How did you come up with it? Like one day, or okay, tell me. I don't know why I'm guessing. How did you come up with it?
Well, I mean, shout out to Karan Verma, right? So I was working with him, and we were working on his forehand, and I had a medicine ball under his arm.
Oh, a
And-
medicine ball, like a small one?
It was actually a big one. It was the only one I had as a soft one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's an adult. He's a strong guy. and I was like, oh, this. I mean, it literally keeps everything perfect, right? Because usually you see coaches put tennis ball or something under their arm, and I'm like, well, and it was too big, right? But I'm like, whatever, it's something. He had a complete overhaul, change his grip, swing path, complete change. His forehand's looking great, literally looking really great right now.
We need to find the clip and
Oh, I will.
send me the clip of his forehand so then we can plug that in.
It's quite intense, yeah. And I was like, if there was something that was just the perfect angle, right? That means the angle that's your striking angle, because your prep angle, everyone can have different preparations. However, like you have Rafa, who's had 50,000 different preparations.
Yeah.
You know, it's very low angle. Alcaraz has super high angle.
Yeah.
And then you have Federer, who's kind of like right in between.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, at least we can have a framework for which to teach the forehand. Whereas, okay, well, I can just put it there, and then if it's strapped in, if you want to raise the elbow and then come down into the appropriate striking for waist level, by the way, waist level, not high ball. I know high ball is different. I know low ball is different. But we're talking about just waist level. Then the kids can have a solid understanding of what they're repeating. What a lot of coaches will do, like hands on the wall or something else, right?
Hey,
and it's
hey.
We do that big time.
Well, what I'm saying, there's no other way. It's like, how do you do it? How do you do it when the kids have no clue about they have no self-awareness yet?
Yeah.
Right? So you want that physical feedback, that kinesthetic feedback, where I'm not saying they're going to get it right away. They're not. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to get it right away. However, if they can take this home, when they work on the court, and then they go and they take it home, and they shadow. They get the eye coach, shout out to the eye coach, and you go and you just repeat it. At least they have a framework in which you're cueing them. It minimizes problems.
Right.
It minimizes it. It doesn't take away, because there will always be somebody who has some crazy thing going on that you have to kind of restructure and resequence, which is extremely important. Resequencing, right? If you look at Djokovic's forehand versus Alcaraz's forehand, there's a sequencing difference. Not a lot, but there is. Right? Meaning like how the arm travels and when the body rotates. If you sequence it correctly, then the hand's gonna be more out in front, right? So this at least gives a framework for coaches to kind of guide their students along, right? That's like the most important thing, because if you, I mean, it's hard as coaches. It's like, okay, you use arms up, more space. And then, you have the more space, and you have coaches that are like, no, you have to have the elbow super high. Why? Because it stops this from happening. Yeah, it does, but it doesn't stop this from happening. It doesn't stop your elbow from coming in. Right? So we try to solve this problem with this solution, but then this solution causes this problem. Right? And if tennis is a game of space and time, then the more time I take to prepare, the less time I have to take away.
Right.
And I want to take away time. That's why Roger's forehand, although I wish he had, a little bit of what Alcaraz has, which is amazing defense, doing the reverse forehand. If he had a little more balance, I mean, his forehand is the most efficient, in my opinion, right? It takes the least amount of time to prepare and the least amount of time to go from loading to unloading, right? That's all time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
If I have more time, I can take a bigger prep. Fine. I'm not saying you can't take a bigger prep. However, it should be situational, in my opinion.
Right. That's great. I first saw this because Emma was using it you were training for a tournament, I think. We're warming up one day or something. The first time.
Yeah, I was using it.
If she starts winning Grand Slams, she's going to be she's got to promote this.
Let's go.
I'm Emma Burjic, and I use the angles. But no, she was using it, and I think it's really important because you explained to her when she started using it, the positions, right? So like you were explaining how like you load to a certain point with the elbow bent a little bit, so it can't be like completely straight. Then it was like dropping the racket and then extending through. I think that was really important, because I did it like when I first saw it, I was like, so what do I do now? you know, but you explain what he explained of like the steps that you have. So I feel like this combined to like the knowledge that you're explaining now of the sequence, if you can go more into that.
Well, I will have I'm working on an at-home course.
Okay.
You can follow along with it.
So, but like in summary, what are the things you go through? Like once you start practicing, like the sequence, do you divide it in steps?
Perfect. Right. So I'm going to go for it briefly. You guys can get the course when you want to. You want to hear the rest. But essentially, no. I mean, it's because it's just more detail.
Yeah,
There's more to it.
And pay online.
It's not that I'm trying to hold back.
But it's not just putting it there and okay.
Yeah. No, not at all. I mean,
or you can check his Instagram videos.
Sure, absolutely. But so basically, the power comes from your legs, and the issue is because there's so many levels to it. But the reality is, as the kids are learning how to track the ball, what they end up doing is they don't get their feet in position, which footwork is the tracking movement is most important, and they say, okay, well, I still want power. You know, it's like a kid who's like, I want good grades, but I didn't study. Okay, I'll cheat. You know, it's like you just do what you got to do, right? And so people say, oh, I can still get power. And you just muscle the hell out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you take the time to sequence it, where it's like eyes, mind, feet, get your feet in position and coil. Like I give the analogy where it's like your arms are like the steering wheel, right? You steer the car, right? But your legs are the power and where the engine is, right? And so it's like I'm not going to try to create power while I'm steering with the steering.
Yeah.
Right. So if things are muddy, you know, it's like it's not going to have clarity, right? So I can't get the most out of all the body parts if they're competing, right? But if I can create this kinetic chain, starting power comes from the lower body, and speed, I can generate speed with my arm and hand, right? Kind of guide the energy with my arm, but accelerate with the hand. Then I have everything in nice, beautiful sequence. All right?
Very interesting. Very interesting.
In my opinion, as a coach and as a player now as well. No,
Yep.
I mean, it's not like I wasn't a player, but I'm gonna be again a great player. But anyways, I struggle a lot with keeping my elbow too close when I hit. You know, and this is not a quick fix. If somebody thinks, okay, I'm gonna do this, like you said, okay, I'm gonna do this and it's going to happen. No, but like if you are doing it, if you're at home shadow swinging in front of the mirror, looking, and then you're creating that, like you said, how you say that word?
Kinesthetic feedback, yeah.
Kinesthetic, because you feel it, and then you go on court, and then you feel what you're doing, right? But it's repetition, being disciplined about it. But if you really follow the steps, the sequences, and everything that you're doing, you will really notice the difference. Nobody's promising you here, yes, you're gonna have Alcaraz's forehand, right? But I love how simple it is. Right? It's not so complicated. I have to do this. No, I put it here, I strap it, and that's it. Right? That's what I love about it, because there's so many like different teaching aids out there. They're just like it's too much. Too much. But anyways, if you want to buy this, what's the website?
Angleslikeapro.com.
Angleslikeapro.com.
Because angles.com was just too expensive.
Can you?
Really?
It's $45,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, wait, I didn't finish. So Angles Like a Pro.
Yes.
Angleslikeapro.com. And then if you want 10% off, use EMA10.
What? She has a code?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You want it? You want to?
Can I have a code?
Yeah, of course.
No way.
No, you can't.
Why? He said I can.
No, you can't.
Jose 10.
Only for Emma.
No.
Jose 7.
No. Jose 7?
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Can you hit balls with this?
I
or no?
did not finish.
You can't hit balls?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did
okay.
finish. You can what?
Hit ball. I thought it was only for shadow swings.
No.
No. Well, that's why we're going on the court now, and then he could show you all the steps, but you can't come with us. Anyways, use EMA10 for 10% off, and that's it. Okay.
Soon, Jose 7 to get 20% off.
To get 7%.
I don't want to have the same number as you.
Because 10 is for 10%.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
It's a learning process, guys.
I'll get Jose 20.
Once you become an influencer, maybe.
No, I'm not an influencer, but I will get my code.
I mean, you already are, really, kind of.
I love this though. Podcast is super cool because we met. It's really cool how many people we've met. Like, well, she knows.
You met.
I've met a lot of people.
Through
a lot
me.
of people, which is great. And it's been fantastic. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Do you want to ask him anything?
How
Because
much
that can be the
do you
last
play other
question.
sports? I'm just gonna get off track of this. I just want to know. Do you
Yeah,
play
no,
other
I mean,
sports?
to be honest, listen, for those of you who have kids, play as many sports as you can, please.
Yes.
Be athletic. I tell the kids this, I was like, you're not going to be a professional tennis player, be a professional athlete who plays tennis.
Yes.
Like, just do
I
that.
love that.
Yeah, that's the
I
most
love
important.
that.
But
Okay.
no. Unfortunately,
Oh, you
no.
don't?
Unfortunately, no.
Like,
But play-
so many sports are fantastic. I personally don't, but
No.
They're great.
I unfortunately, that was not the path that I
Okay.
was taken on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
However, I tried dribbling the ball with soccer. I work, it's like you still want to work on skills, right? It's the cross training of it, right?
Right.
So, like I said, all of our kids, we do soccer, tennis, we warm up, juggling. I mean, it's about creating the athlete, and the most important thing with that we really focus on with the kids is giving them the thought process, right? So it's like, yeah, we only have, let's say, 2.5 hours, right? Tennis and fitness, but it shouldn't end there.
Right.
So it's like, what do you do on your own time? It might be too much, but I mean, I tell the kids, I'm like, listen, as much as your parents love you, they're living their life and you're living your life. You have to eventually learn that you are responsible for it.
Right.
When they go sleep or when they're doing whatever they're doing, how do you spend your time?
Right.
That's your responsibility.
Right.
And accountability is
Everything,
the most
yeah.
important thing
I love
to
that.
teach kids.
That's great. Did you play other sports growing up?
Yeah, actually.
What?
I did track and field. I
You're
did.
so slow now.
I was good
what happened to you?
long distance.
Oh, okay.
Never
And what
short.
else?
Volleyball,
Oh, very nice.
basketball, swimming.
Okay. Good amount of sports.
But I'm still not a good athlete.
It's a process. It's a process.
Just the last question. Do you have a tennis book you would recommend to audience, or you don't read?
No. What was that? Winning Ugly by Brad Gilbert is really good.
Classic.
Winning ugly?
Classic. Yeah, Winning Ugly.
You haven't heard of that one?
No.
That's good. You would like that one.
Yeah?
Yeah. I forget the title of it, but it's an extremely popular book. I'm surprised I don't remember it, but it's the mental side of it. I think inside game or the
Inner game.
Inner game. Yes.
Inner
Amazing.
excellence?
Or inner excellence.
Inner excellence?
No, Inner Game. The Inner
Inner
Game.
Game.
Inner game.
Yeah, I think that would,
I was so excited.
I read that book a long time ago, but it has impacted me
The Inner Game.
tremendously.
Is that a tennis book?
Yeah.
Have you read Inner Excellence?
No, I've not.
Fantastic book. Well, you know what? I was trying to get the author. If you can read it, it's like the book. It's like one of those books that you feel like you can really change your life. Like it's incredible. So it's more about life, but for athletes.
Got it.
It's amazing. And I'm we should try to get the author to come to the podcast. But I heard a podcast that he got invited to, and he has less followers than you, so we can get him. That would be so cool, honestly.
I think, yeah.
If you're
We'll
Jim
get-
Murphy, if you're hearing this, I don't know where I'm looking at. Text them out, please.
Okay, I'll DM him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slide in the DMs.
Anyways, thank you so much again for your
No,
time.
thank you,
This
guys.
was so fun, and I wish you luck with your product and with everything in your coaching career. I know you're gonna do great things, and I'm sure we're gonna be seeing you around.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck on your journey.
Thank you.
It's a tough one.
It's a
and
tough
I respect
one.
it. I love it.
It's a tough one.
She's a
but
tough woman, though.
I'm a tough woman, and it wouldn't be fun otherwise.
100%.
If it was easy, like,
Yeah.
come on. Anyways, thank you everyone for following, for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you for watching, guys.
Today's episode is sponsored by MatchSet. MatchSet is an amazing company that provides players with incredible equipment and apparel. With MatchSet, equipment does matter, and they make sure it won't slow you down.
Use code Tennis with Emma to get 10% of Match Tennis today.
Thank you so much for supporting and listening to our podcast. Make sure to follow us on social media.
And be sure to listen to next week's episode of the EMAzing Tennis Podcast.